This is a special presentation from Wood TV 8.
Yeah, guys, we're just watching this unfold, trying to stay safe, but still give you a look.
And you see the flames down there. I am told that that is a police cruiser that was set on fire.
The air is thick with smoke.
And there are just so many people out here really trying to make a difference and clean up the city.
The Grand Rapids riot shook many of us to our core, but the shattered windows and smoke-filled streets ignited a movement toward racial justice. Tonight, we focus on that action and what's still to come. I'll talk with Grand Rapids Police Chief Eric Payne about what he's done to respond to the outrage in his community. Whitney Burney will talk with Briana Taylor's family why they say the tribute to their loved one is not enough. And Brittany Flowers introduces us to the artists who created those powerful images that colored our city after the riot. We start tonight with our community's recovery. Jacqueline Francis talked to businesses about this year of movement.
A year later, and it's still hard to watch. Villa's store manager, Melvin Stewart, watched from home as his shop became the first downtown business to be raided and robbed.
We're just seeing people breaking into the store, smashing the windows, grabbing items, and running out.
We get people from New York that come in to travel who have family here. They come from all over, and it was just like, I saw what happened on the news, like it was a historical site, like they came to see it and, you know, talk about it or talk to me about it. And it was cool that it was people of all races that were coming to, you know, hey, look, that's crazy. Anything you need, any help?
As the community came together to pick up the pieces, local businesses began pledging support for the movement.
The posts and the social media and these equity statements that come out.
Jamil Robinson, founder of Grand Rapids area black businesses, was quick to question their sincerity.
We're still seeing who's actually going to live up to what they made promises when it comes to closing the racial equity gap.
Take the downtown Grand Rapids business community, for example, where Robinson can count on one hand the number of black-owned businesses aside from his own.
Ambiance, GR Noir, Mosley Popcorn, Malamaya, Mel Styles, Basic B.
As Robinson continues to call on the city to do more to improve diversity downtown, he's also calling on you, saying the skyrocketing support for black-owned businesses after the riot was short-lived.
For about 3 weeks following the riots and the nationwide riots, we saw an extreme uptick. So it's like we saw an uptick of like if you were to go to the top of the Himalayas. But then after 3 weeks we seen it, you know, dip all the way down into where we're in the Mariana Trench, which is the lowest point in the ocean. And so it needs to be sustained and consistent.
Supporting minority-owned businesses like Pack Elephant, a new retail spot in Studio Park that's part of a local initiative to diversify downtown.
We were really fortunate to receive a grant to help offset the cost of being down here for the first 18 months. And I find that incredibly important for all diverse-owned businesses that want to have a presence here.
Breaking barriers with its opening in December, CEO Winsome Curtin says it can be a bit lonely.
What was that like? What did that feel like?
It felt like most of my life. And, you know, I think it's unfortunate that it's often, I'm the only black woman kind of sitting at the table. But I'm determined to not make it the case forever.
A movement to replace the memory of a night of violence with a more inclusive and diverse downtown Grand Rapids.
It helped elevate us to another level. I feel like it took us to a place where it wasn't just about closing. It wasn't about the shoes now. It was about the efforts that we put to keep the community together.
Moving forward.
Yeah, we're going, and that's what we're doing. We're going forward.
In the months after the riot, several groups emerged to keep that momentum going. Some of the most influential voices were from the family of Briana Taylor. The Grand Rapids native became one of the faces of the movement after Louisville police shot and killed her. Her memory forever honored over a street in downtown Grand Rapids that witnessed some of the worst rioting. As Whitney Burney shows us, Briana's death and the protests that followed pushed her family into the middle of demands for police reform.
There were, police cars on fire, people were being hurt, businesses were destroyed.
Right.
But what did you see when you were watching that unfold from TV or from images online? What did you see happening downtown?
Frustration. I think that it started initially peaceful because they just had something to say. We never get a break. It just seemed like it's one police killing of an African-American after the next. There's never a period of time that we can calm down, that we can reflect, that we can finally say that we can breathe again. It's like, okay, we're talking to you and you're not hearing us. We're talking to you and you're not listening.
And you guys have had multiple conversations with the police department here in Grand Rapids along with city leaders. Do you feel like there's been progress made here in Grand Rapids when it comes to policing?
I believe it opened a communication line. I've never been interested in talking to the police chief, at least face-to-face and personally. I mean, we can talk about the recently new videos that have surfaced of some of the young men that have been pulled over in traffic stops. We're trying to make sure that Grand Rapids police officers don't have that encounter, that they don't have a traffic stop gone wrong that ends in a death, that they don't have a police call that goes wrong and it ends in a death. And that's what we're trying to work with Police Chief Payne to ensure, that our community members feel safe, that they feel like I can actually flag down a police officer if I really need some help. And I don't think that our people really feel that comfortable yet. I think because of national attention with other cases, and then just these two cases that have surfaced, or video footages that have surfaced here, I feel like we're moving backwards. So Police Chief Payne is open to communicating with, I believe, just certain people, and I think he really just needs to expand that to the community.
Are there any specific policy changes that you guys are asking from GRPD?
I think that they don't understand the amount of weight that you put on one person when they're on a ground, when they cannot breathe. George Floyd should have been the precedent and the last person in this country that police officers felt that more than one police officer can lay on their back. When someone is telling you I'm having a hard time breathing, just because they're speaking does not mean they're not having a hard time breathing.
What's your hope for our community going forward, for our officers, for our city leaders?
I think that for the officers, I want them to understand that I know you don't live in our community. Most of them don't. You're unfamiliar with our members of our community, and I think that getting out here in our communities and building the relationships that are essential to understanding how your community that you're policing works. For Grand Rapids to move forward and for us to be where we are, I need to ask the community to be patient too, as well, and to allow these communications to get the things that we need done, and to be patient enough to understand that no change comes overnight. We have to understand that change is a process, and that to know Police Chief Payne is listening.
And we take those concerns about GRPD straight to the Chief of Police. They wanted to get to a point where they would feel comfortable if they needed help walking up to an officer, and didn't feel like a lot of people were at that point just yet. And that's coming up after the break, you will hear the chief's response. And later, we talk with the artists who helped brush away the destruction 1 year ago. We've heard from movement leaders and members of the Black community about how they felt the night of the riot and beyond it. Now, we talk one-on-one with Grand Rapids Police Chief Eric Payne. I asked him about how he felt the night he saw his city burn and what he believes he and his department have done since to build the community back. So let's go back to May 30th of 2020 with that peaceful protest that was planned. There had been incidents in other cities, though, before that. Were you concerned going into this?
We were concerned. We actually brought in additional staffing. In fact, we brought in additional staffing that morning for a peaceful protest. We had not had that type of crowd, so we brought additional staffing in, and there was concern based on what we had seen around the country.
When did you get an indication that it was turning?
It was very early on in the afternoon when attempts were made to take our police car and surrounding officers, and then the looting started.
You came out at one point and addressed the crowd earlier. What'd you say?
Well, I hear you, and that's the big thing that we're here. I wanted to convey that, and that's been something from, well, especially from the George Floyd incident. That we hear the community, and that's something we've continued to engage with the community. That was a big part of our strategic plan that we set up, was getting input from the community, from our elected officials, city officials, in an attempt to look at how can we do things differently and keep the things that we're doing well here at the police department.
So it was the next week then you went out and knelt with the crowd, and you're out there to show that you wanted to be part of the community. That was a promise to be more engaged.
It was. I mean, I think every person who has knelt over the last year has done it for different reasons. I recognize what occurred in Minneapolis was not correct. That should not have been done in policing. I knew it then, and it's been affirmed by the conviction of Derek Chauvin for the murder of George Floyd, and that was a process that I had to work through. But from a tragedy, we have to learn from it, and part of it is the engagement with the community is one component of it. The important thing I wanted to convey then and now is that we're hearing from the community, and I can't continue to thank the men and women of the Grand Rapids Police Department for their dedication through difficult times and the job that they're doing.
Operation Safe Neighborhood, that was an important part too. Some people are questioning having the helicopters sort of fly around and shining lights on, that they're saying that that doesn't help them feel safer.
Well, we've also heard that it does. They recognized last year we had unprecedented number of homicides and violence that were occurring in the community. As part of our engagement, the strategic plan, we've been doing, I wouldn't call them scientific, but surveys of neighborhoods that's most affected by it. And the feedback we've been getting is that we want more. We want you out in the neighborhoods, and you use whatever tools that are, of course, lawful, that we're able to use to stop this cycle of violence.
Briana Taylor's family spoke with us, and they talked about the idea of police officers being in the community. And one thing that really struck us was that they said they wanted to get to a point where they would feel comfortable if they needed help walking up to an officer, and didn't feel like a lot of people were at that point just yet. And that's a matter of trust. Do you think what are you working on to get to that point, and like having officers in the neighborhood, is that one step?
One of the components of our strategic plan is moving away from community policing and neighborhood-based policing, where we have officers assigned to every beat in the city, where they're building those relationships and that trust. We had a great example a couple of weeks ago of officers doing those surveys, walking door to door, and some young kids came up to them. And they approached the officers and reported that there was a gun in their backyard. Unknown how it got there, the officers were able to take that gun off the street where those kids weren't harmed. No one else in the community was harmed. The homeowner was thankful that we took the gun off the street. So there is a level of trust, but we can't just stop there. We have to continue to work on it and make sure everyone feels safe and are safe in this city.
Another thing that when we were talking with Briana Taylor's family, they had mentioned officers in the neighborhood, but actually living in Grand Rapids. You know, some cities have incentives to get officers to live in the city that they work instead of, you know, coming in from a suburb and working there 8 hours and then leaving again, actually living in Grand Rapids.
Sure, and the city does have incentives for officers to live in the city. We encourage it. By law, we cannot mandate it. But more importantly, when they're here working in that neighborhood policing model, I want them engaged in their community so it feels like they actually live there. That's what I'm looking for in this new model that we've transitioned to. And it's something we started at the end of March. It's going to take time to build for those officers to get out into those neighborhoods and get to know the community. It's not like a light switch that we can turn off and on. Someone described it to me as more like a dimmer, and we have to continue to work on it to make sure these officers are known in those neighborhoods that they're policing.
You are, as you mentioned, you know, very outspokenly supportive of your officers, and there was a little bit of controversy with your written statement, very sympathetic to the fact that the use of force by officers in recent incidents in any manner can be disturbing, but strongly that they exhibit tremendous restraint. Do you stand by that?
I do.
Yeah.
And officers have to they have to make sure not only are they keeping the community safe, they have to keep themselves safe. And unfortunately, force is a part of our work. We try to train. We're actually putting on use of force scenarios for community members. We're going to do that I think every month, where we're bringing in groups of the community to better explain why we're doing what we're doing and then get feedback from the community. So it's not just a one-way street. So if we can do it better, and explaining what we're doing, how we're doing it. But yeah, I'm going to support my officers. Lots been made about accountability, and I will hold them accountable. But I also support them when they're doing their job correctly and they're working to keep the community safe. In that particular incident, we took 4 illegal guns off the street. And it was unfortunate, and one of the subjects that we were encountered, force was used. But we review it, and the review process is still ongoing, so I can't get into that, but I do support my officers in doing the correct thing out there.
Okay, so 35 years in this community. I mean, looking back on it, you have 1 or 2 just really proud moments. What are you most proud of?
Wow, as crazy as it sounds, I know there was a lot of damage, property damage. There were some injuries that occurred on May 30th last year. I am, as troubling as that night was, no one lost their life. And that very easily could have occurred that night with everything that was going on. So I look back at it as it was troubling. It's not something I've ever seen in the city of Grand Rapids, but no one lost their life. And there was a lot of property damage, a lot of things that occurred, which is not acceptable. I'm not saying it is, but no one lost their life, and there were no significant injuries that occurred that night. I guess overall, I've enjoyed my career here at Grand Rapids. It's a great community. Is there work to be done? Absolutely. Not just with policing, poverty, education, you name it, all social things that are going on. Overall, though, it's a community that's willing to make changes, as we are in the police department, as we have. But there's a lot of good things that are going on, and we'll continue to work toward making it the great city I believe it can be.
Do you have a timeline that you're, you know, sort of, as you're moving through your 35 years, do you have anything in your head or a certain date?
Oh, I'm asked that often. I'm in the twilight of my career, but I have no timeline. I have no set time or any date that's been fixed on a calendar that this is when I'm going to end. There's a lot of work to be done. I think we've accomplished a lot over the last year. This department is different than what it was a year ago, and we'll continue to work toward making it a better department than it already is.
After that night of chaos 1 year ago came resiliency. Next, we will introduce you to the people who painted the streets of Grand Rapids, helping to heal our city through art when a year of movement returns. An incredible thing happened in the hours after rioters tore our city apart. We began to put it back together. Brushstrokes replaced broken glass, murals covered walls scorched by fire. Brittany Flowers shows us the art that kept us moving forward.
An empty building with boarded up windows might not mean much to the average passerby, but for Kim Kunze, this spot serves as a reminder.
I got to see and be part of Grand Rapids in a way that I had never been able to be a part of.
1 year ago, the shattered windows left behind from the downtown riots were quickly repaired.
They had just like basic plywood, like patched up on all of these windows.
Patches of plywood that some saw as an opportunity.
Lions and Rabbits and Element 7 put out, their two art groups in town. They put out a call for artists to say we have a bunch of windows that need to be boarded up and we want to have people come paint on them. So I came out the day after, said, hey, do you need somebody? And then they said, here, this is your window.
Kunze felt it was important not to simply cover up the pain.
I was trying to be really cognizant of the fact that I'm a white person who's experiencing this in a really different way than a lot of the people of color in our city.
As she looked back on the events that led up to the night of May 30th, 2020, she couldn't help but think of her cousin, Major Albert Harris III, a captain in the Air Force Space Command, and his 8-year-old son.
Whenever I see stuff happening with people of color, I'm often, especially with police brutality or things like that, I'm often picturing them in my head, and so it was kind of a healing process to paint them.
You couldn't miss that art as you walk through the streets of downtown, and that's the same story on the second floor of the Grand Rapids Public Museum. That decision was intentional. Museum leaders saying they hope when people see this artwork, it continues that conversation for years to come.
It's really important for us to be able to share the stories and these pieces for future generations.
3 pieces that once hung in the windows of downtown businesses are now a permanent part of the museum's collection.
These pieces not only tell a story of something that's happening present day, but also for future generations to look back and say, wow, that's what happened, and the museum has artifacts that represent those stories. That's what's really important.
Kunze plans to gift her piece to her cousins and says she hopes the intent behind the art continues, uplifting those often marginalized voices and creating lasting change.
It's been a year of movement and hopefully of lasting change, of repairing damages, not by simply covering them up, but facing them head on. The work continues, and so will the healing. For all of us at Wood TV 8, I'm Michelle DeSelms. Thanks for watching.